Welcome in to Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is game day morning. Happy game day, Duval. Jaguars at Commanders 2022 regular season week 1. Jaguars traveling up to the nation's capital to take on Ron Rivera, Carson Wentz, Jack Del Rio, and the Commanders. It's looking like it's going to be a sloppy one, y'all. 100% chance of rain today up in the nation's capital. But it is looking like the rain could subside during the actual game from about 1 to 4 here. Got some folks checking in. This is a live stream. Appreciate y'all for being here. Debbie Lynn's checking in. Good morning, everyone. UCF Jaguar says, wake up, babe. Jordan's about to go live. Game day. Love it. Bradley Hamilton's checking in. Andrew Heyer, what's up, buddy? Cody, Goder, happy y'all are all here with me today. Happy that it is finally Jaguars game day. This is a day that many folks, including myself, have been waiting on for months and months and months. Ready for it. Ready to put 2021 behind us. Ready to put Urban Miller behind us. It's exciting. There's a lot to look at here. UCF Jaguars saying, come on, Bradley, be more original. They're dropping similar comments. It's all right. It's early in the morning. It's 9 o'clock. We started the stream here at 9:04 a.m. for obvious reasons. I've got the 9:04 hat, rocking it today. Got the Fred Taylor jersey going, trying to bring the Jaguars some good luck here. Getting into this, though, I think we can start with injuries here. Jaguars defensive end / defensive tackle Foley Fatukasi is questionable with a calf. At this moment, we still do not have an update on his availability for this game. It seems like it's been trending in the right direction based on everything I've heard and seen from the team so far, but no word on if he will play. He is the only Jaguar that's questionable for this one, which is obviously good news. Commanders safety Cameron Curl is out. He's dealing with a thumb injury. Was not able to practice this week. They do think he'll be back soon, but he will not be available for this one. And of course, star pass rusher Chase Young, he is also out, recovering from an ACL that he suffered last year. Tight end Logan Thomas, who is the Commanders' starting tight end, he's expected to play. He's still listed as questionable, but according to several reports out of DC, it's looking like Logan Thomas will play in this contest, as long as he doesn't have any setbacks. So you look at the injury situation, who has the advantage here? Certainly the Commanders being without 2 starting defenders, Chase Young being their most talented defender and Cameron Curl being one of their stalwarts in the back end there at safety, a physical safety, downhill type of player. Um, that is not good news for the Commanders, obviously. You want to see week 1, you want to be as close to full strength as possible, and they're missing 2 of their starters on defense at minimum here, potentially missing Logan Thomas as well. It is looking like Thomas will play, but no official word from the team on that just yet. And no word on Foley Fatukasi just yet either with the calf. All right. Rolling through some comments here. Cody says, I'm just excited to hopefully see a competent team take the field. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable expectation. Jacob says, we have to pressure Wentz and stop the run. Yeah, and I think that's one of the keys to victory. If you want to pressure Carson Wentz, if you want to get him rattled, if you want to put the game on his shoulders, what do you have to do before that? You have to stop the run and force the Commanders to pass the ball. Now, will that be a recipe for success? Looking at Carson Wentz, you kind of feel like yes, but I think one of the biggest strengths of the Commanders roster is their receiving core. When you look at Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, they're all healthy right now. They're all really good route runners. They all have speed, good hands. So you might be careful what you wish for here with those receivers. We'll see. Cody Jackson says Cam Robinson question mark. I assume you're talking about the ankle that popped up on the injury report that held him out, or not held him out, that limited him on Friday's practice. He does not have a game designation status for this game, so he is healthy. He is going to play in this one. I don't know if the ankle could potentially be re-aggravated or potentially further aggravated for Cam Robinson. That is something to monitor throughout the contest, certainly, but he will start and he will play for the Jaguars in this one. He does not have a game status. He's not questionable or probable or doubtful, anything like that. He is going to play for the Jaguars in this one. Goder says Tyson is going to get a pick, mark my words. I like it. Tyson Campbell entering his second year. Big opportunity for him to show out. Bradley says, I see a 28-17 as a realistic score with the rain. We'll see the Jags run more than usual. I think a healthier Jags team will be able to outperform the more limited and injured Commanders roster. We'll see. Let's hope so. Jacob says we have to get pressure and win to stop the run. Yeah, I already said that. UCF Jaguars said, is the rain advantage Jags or our words? That's something I've been thinking about, I think if the Commanders had Brian Robinson, they would be feeling really good about playing a sloppy, physical type of game. But he's out. Unfortunately, he was shot in a botched robbery a few weeks back. He is recovering. He should be good to go at some point this season, but he's not healthy right now. And so they've got Antonio Gibson and JD McKissick as their lead backs. Of course, Gibson will probably be the feature back here, and McKissick as a scat back, third down back type. But Gibson has struggled holding on to the football. He led the NFL in fumbles last year, had a fumble this preseason. So potentially, if you're talking about ball security, does the ball being wet help Antonio Gibson be more secure with that football? I wouldn't think so. So I guess you could lean Jaguars running backs and offensive line with the advantage there. But this offensive line has three new pieces in the middle. Ben Bart started a lot of games last year, but that was at right guard. He's starting at left guard. You've got rookie Luke Fortner at center, third round pick. And then you've, of course, got Brandon Sheriff at right guard. It'll be really interesting to see if they're able to open up the type of holes that they need to have a successful running game. Goder says the top five Commanders players going into the game are Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson, and Jahan Dotson. That's probably pretty fair. I think Deron Payne probably deserves some love up there. I think Fuller is a very good cover corner on the outside for the most part. We'll see how it plays out there. J-Man says we need an offense to put up touchdowns. Field goals are not okay when the team needs to set the tone. Well, Riley Patterson, I think he's one of the X factors in this one. The Jaguars' current place kicker, they've run through about 1 million of them so far in 2022. We'll see how that plays out. I agree, though. One of my biggest concerns for the Jaguars, not only in this game, but for the entire season, I'm a little concerned about the red zone offense. Are they going to be able to punch it in? I think the Jaguars are going to move the ball down the field fairly well. I think they're going to move it fairly consistently down the field. But are they going to be able to punch it in when it's time to score 7? We'll see. Goder says we are going to beat Wentz back to back. Yes, Carson Wentz is looking for a little revenge here, not only on his former head coach Doug Peterson, but against the Jaguars, who are the reason that he is no longer in Indianapolis with the Colts, the reason that the Colts moved on from him, traded him to Washington, and now he's the starting quarterback for the Commanders. Cody Jackson says it's turf, so it shouldn't be difficult to run. We'll find out. We'll find out just how wet that field is. J-Man says, who is our kicker again? It is Riley Patterson. Yep. And he was 13 of 14 last year with the Lions in the regular season, which is obviously very encouraging. He's had some ups and downs in practice so far. but was very accurate for the Lions last year. I would like to take a second here to remember that it is the 11th of September and to honor those that fell, honor the fallen, and everyone that's been impacted, and just send our thoughts and prayers, and just remember all the sacrifices that folks have made to give us days like today, football Sunday, NFL regular season week 1. All right, so Carson Wentz versus Doug Peterson versus Press Taylor, who was not only with him in Philly, he was also a offensive assistant for the Colts last year. Does it matter? Does it matter that they have so much insider knowledge of Carson Wentz? I don't think there's two football coaches in the world that have a better understanding of Carson Wentz. I think Frank Reich is right there with these two guys, obviously, as well. The Colts head coach, who was the Eagles' offensive coordinator under Doug Peterson for a little while there when they went to the Super Bowl and won it. But does that help them? Does knowing Carson Wentz and his mental makeup and what he can and cannot do on the football field, does it matter? I think it does. Does it help the Jaguars win the game? I think it helps the Jaguars, but is it the factor that puts it over the top? I don't think so. You've still got to go out there and execute if you're the Jaguars defense. You've got to. Colton says, "Have we heard anything about Foley Fatu Kasi?" Let's go ahead and check Twitter here and see if we've got anything. Not seeing anything yet. If you guys see anything on Foley Fatukasi, who is still dealing with the calf, who is still questionable for the Jaguars defense, drop it in the chat here. But yeah, I do think that this is an advantage for the Jaguars. Now, Ron Rivera has also been leaning on Carson Wentz and his knowledge of what Doug Peterson and Press Taylor like to do. So you can look at it that way as well. I do think, and Ron Rivera said as much, Doug's going to have some surprises. There's going to be some stuff that is certainly unscouted looks for Washington, and there probably will be on both sides. But the way Ron kind of phrased it, and the look on his face, the expression, he feels like Doug is really going to bring some new tricks, and try to take advantage of a Washington defense that is going to be looking at a lot of stuff that they've never seen before, because the Jaguars have been playing it so close to the vest here, especially on the offensive side of the ball, with how they're going to attack teams early on here in this season. It's an opportunity for the Jaguars to break some really ugly streaks. They have not won on the road since 2019 when they shut down the old Oakland Coliseum there, and sent the Raiders packing to Vegas in their last contest in Oakland. They have not beaten an NFC team since week 1 of 2018 in New York. I was at that game against the Giants. That was a little bit of a sloppy season opener as well. Some wet weather up there. Looks like the Jaguars are going to be facing that again today. J-Man says execution is key to winning this game and every game. I agree with you there. Goder says, I think we can go 10-7 at best. We can squeeze wins like the Broncos and Raiders and win easy games like Giants and Jets games. Yeah. And if you're a Giants or Jets fan, you're looking at the Jaguars on the schedule saying the same exact thing. I do have the Jaguars beating the Giants and the Jets, but we'll see. Back up for Alonzo says, I think red zone won't be an issue today. I hope you're right. That would really be a welcome development, but it has been an issue for the Jaguars throughout training camp in the preseason. Obviously, very limited reps here. So we'll see there how that plays out. It takes timing, it takes chemistry, it takes reps to be an effective running team, to be a good red zone team. We'll see if the Jaguars are able to improve upon those things here in week 1 and as the season continues. Goder says, are you going to the Colts game next week? Not sure. Got tickets. I decided not to apply for the press box this year just because I like being with friends, family, I like enjoying these games. And so I decided not to try to do that this year with the press box, but I do have tickets to that one. We will see if I end up going. Might depend on that heat index. We'll see. The September games here are brutal in Jacksonville. J-Man says playoffs could be attainable if the team gets some wins early. Yeah, I don't think that this team should be ruled out as a potential playoff contender. I don't have them making the playoffs right now, but I agree that they're certainly one of those teams that you could see take a jump with an entirely new coaching staff. Trevor Lawrence hit the reset button. A lot of talent and inflection over the last 2 years. When you look at 2021's free agent class, 2021's draft class, 2022's free agent class, and 2022's draft class, there has been a lot of talent, a lot of turnover on this roster. I would like to remind everyone we're not going to have all the answers here after this contest. One team is going to take a step forward, clearly, obviously, and one will take a step backwards. You hope it's the Jaguars taking that step forward, but if the Jaguars win or lose this game, you do not need to get too high or too low here. This is one contest out of 17. You want to win every one. You want to win every time you step on the field. You're preparing to win every time you step on the field, but it's one game. It's one game for a brand new coaching staff, two coordinators in Press Taylor and Mike Caldwell who have never done this before. They did it this preseason. Of course, Peterson is calling the plays on offense. Press Taylor is not going to be the offensive play caller, but he has a ton of responsibilities outside of being the play caller. You've also got, a kicker who's never kicked for the Jaguars before. You've got a ton of youth. This is one of the top 5 youngest teams in the NFL still. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out here. We've got SP checking in saying, "Go Commanders." You're on the wrong channel. No, everyone is welcome here, obviously, and Commanders fans want to tune in and see what we're talking about, the more the merrier. Absolutely. So yeah, I'm really excited to see Press Taylor and Mike Caldwell, their first time as coordinators for the Jaguars here. Beach Guy says, time to put the urban debacle behind us and get back to Jaguars football. Yeah, yeah. Time to put the last 10 years behind us, right? For the most part. John says, I think both teams can be sneaky early on in the season. I agree. I think Scott Turner is a very good offensive coordinator for the Commanders. And what Carson Wentz, you talk about Carson Wentz. I do think that the Carson Wentz hate is a little overblown. I don't think he's a good starting quarterback, but I do think he deserves to be a starter in the NFL. He has all the physical tools you could ask for. He's a big, strong frame. He has a big arm. He still has some mobility. Not the same athlete that he was, but still a pretty good athlete at the quarterback position. And he's got really good receivers. I think their offensive line is interesting. Very interested to see how their offensive line performs. But yeah, I think both of these teams, the Jaguars or Commanders, could sneak into the playoffs. I really do. I don't think the Commanders are in an incredibly difficult division. I do worry about them playing without Cameron Curl and Chase Young. I do worry about that a little bit. So hopefully they can get Curl back here soon. Cody says, I can't even think playoffs with the way this team has disappointed us over the years, but I have to keep telling myself this is a whole new team. It is a whole new team. And regardless of whether that ends up being a positive, I don't think it can be a negative. But regardless if it ends up working out the way you hope it works out, it will be a new looking team. It will be new play callers. It will be on both sides of the ball. It will be 7 new starters on offense, 6 new starters on defense, a new kicker. It's going to be a different team. Whether that ends up being what Jaguars fans are hoping it is, we'll find out here. Got a lot of Duvals coming in. I might as well go ahead and get it out of the way for y'all. Duval. Love it. All right. J Man says, I think it's Wildmeyer can even land a job. Yeah, we don't need to worry about Urban right now. SP says, still here though. Thanks for having me. Happy to have you. Happy for all the Commanders fans to tune in and look at it from the opposite perspective here. Again, the Jaguars do kick off 2022 regular season week 1 at 1 p.m. against the Commanders in the nation's capital. Got some more stuff I'm interested in looking at here. How does this team, a team that has been so poor when it comes to beating themselves with penalties, mental mistakes, not knowing what you're supposed to be doing out there, poor coaching, all that stuff. How do they respond when something does go wrong? Do they crumble and fold like Jaguars teams of the past have done? Or do they have the confidence in their preparation and their coaching uh, and their own physical abilities to overcome when some negative things happen? We'll find out. We'll start finding out here today. How do the Jaguars respond when they get punched in the mouth? There's some number changes here that I think people are going to want to make sure they're privy to. Boy, Aluakin is now wearing number 23. It's going to be the Michael Jordan of the Jaguars defense. We'll see. Andre Cisco has switched from 38 to 5. So when you see 5 running around out there, Rudy Ford is not back on the roster. It is Andre Cisco. Tim Jones switched to 15 following the preseason after he made the team. So those are the big number changes here that you're looking at. Robert says football is back. Let's go. Absolutely. Beach guy says a new broom sweeps clean. All right, I like it. Damian says, how many sacks do you think we're getting today? Cody says 4 sacks. It's always so interesting to put a number on sacks. I think if the Jaguars stop the run, they will be able to get plenty of pressure on Carson Wentz. How many sacks will they have? Based on my projections for the season, I'm guessing they're going to average around 3 sacks per game. So I'll say 3. Corey says NFL Network, Good Morning Football will all eat their words in 6 weeks. Put some respect on our name. I thought that most of the NFL Network folks picked the Jaguars in this one. Is that not the case? Thought they were picking the Jags over the Commanders here. Goder's dropping a Trevor Lawrence stat line, 4,800 yards. Goodness gracious. That's a lot. I think I had him closer to like 42 or 43. Travis Etienne getting 1,300 total yards. That's a lot. J Rob getting 708 yards. That is an oddly specific number. And Christian Kirk getting 1,100 yards. I do have Christian Kirk getting 1,100 yards as well. So we're on the same page there. What an incredible opportunity for some Jaguars players here. Some young players, some players that earned a lot of money. Trevor Lawrence could flip the script here after a disaster of a year 1. With Doug Peterson calling the plays. They've hit the reset button. The running backs, goodness gracious. James Robinson and Travis Etienne are taking the field together for the first time. It's been a year in the making here for Travis Etienne and James Robinson. I can't wait to see those two out there. Are the wide receivers and pass catchers up to snuff? The Jaguars have gotten destroyed for how they rebuilt the wide receiver room, overpaying Christian Kirk and paying up a little bit for Zay Jones. They have an opportunity to silence the critics here. Christian Kirk has a huge opportunity, and so does Zay Jones. Was signing Cam Robinson and Brandon Sheriff, spending so much of their salary cap on these two players, was that the right decision? They're both team captains this week. Brandon Sheriff is one of the permanent offensive team captains for the Jaguars. Cam Robinson was named a captain for this game by Doug Peterson. He'll name a different captain every week to go along with the 5 permanent captains. Were they worth it? We're going to find out. We're going to begin to find out here in week 1. Luke Fortner is a 3rd-round pick. I had him as a 2nd-round grade. So I'm a big fan of Luke Fortner, but he enters his first game of his NFL career as a starting center. He's going to have matchups against Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen on the interior. Is he ready? The Jaguars seem to think he is. Can you stop the run with a less than 100% Foley Fatukasi or without Foley Fatukasi at all? And I'm checking in again here to see if we've gotten any updates on Foley. I don't believe we have. Let's see here. Nope, nothing yet. Nothing yet on Foley, but can you stop the run? Because if you can, I do think this Jaguars defense is going to feast when you look at Travon Walker, Josh Allen, getting Dewan Smoot and Arden Key rolling in the middle. I think you've got a really nice whatever package you want to call it, where you've just got your ears pinned back and those guys going after the quarterback. A lot of money and draft capital spent on the linebacker core as well here in Duval, right? You went out and you released Miles Jack. You brought in Foye Oluokun, who again is wearing number 23 for the Jaguars now. Paid him 15 million per year. You went out, you traded up to get back into the first round to take Devin Lloyd, another off-ball linebacker. Then you tripled down by taking Chad Muma in the third round. I'm a big fan of all these players, but it was heavy investment in that linebacker core. You need them to be one of your best units, bar none. Not on just the defensive side of the ball, on the whole team. That has to be one of the Jaguars' best units. And when you look at Mike Caldwell, a former linebacker, Jaguars defensive coordinator, a former linebacker in the NFL, a former linebackers coach for a long time, has coached a lot of good linebackers. How's that going to play out? And then I'm excited to see this secondary as well. When you look at Tyson Campbell going into year two, this is a guy that started off incredibly poorly in his rookie year last year. The Jaguars made some adjustments. He came back from injury. Final 8 games of the season, 9 games of the season, Tyson Campbell was superb. He showed tremendous development. He showed confidence. He picked off passes. He made plays. He made plays against the run in the backfield. Andre Cisco, same draft class, going into year 2. He's now another year removed from the ACL. Still one of the biggest travesties from last season that Andre Cisco did not get playing time until late in the season. But as soon as he stepped on the field as a starter for the Jaguars last year, he looked the part. You've also got Shaquille Griffin, who I think he played fairly well for the Jaguars last year, but was not able to hold on to any of those interception chances. He's been focused on that this offseason. Can he get his hands on a football and capitalize? And a guy that not a lot of folks talk about around town and nationally, Darius Williams has been one of the Rams' best cover corners for several years. He comes to Jacksonville, returns home, and now he's going to take on the mantle of the Jaguar slot corner. Can't wait to see that. He did not play in the preseason. He was recovering from a shoulder injury. And then Rayshawn Jenkins has a ton to prove. This is a guy who signed a starter's contract with the Jaguars coming over from the Chargers last year, 8 million per year, was named a team captain last year, did not have the results on the field that you wanted to see from him. He has looked like a leader once again this offseason. He has attacked this offseason with a really great mindset and attitude, and he's got a lot to prove here as the Jaguars starting strong safety. Get into some comments here. SP says a lot of people pick the Jags over the Commanders after following to after I don't know what that's supposed to say. But SP basically says I'll be rooting for y'all after this game. Also good YouTube content. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, SP. Thanks for checking in. Says Peterson is a solid coach. I agree. I think Doug Peterson, we'll see how it all plays out here in Jacksonville, right? But as a coaching hire, that was the best coaching hire the Jaguars have ever made. Tom Coughlin ended up being a great hire, but at the moment, at the time, he did not have experience as an NFL head coach. He didn't have a resume. Jack Del Rio, again, ended up being a decent coach for the Jaguars, certainly fell off towards the end, but his resume entering Jacksonville wasn't anywhere close to what Doug Peterson's is. And of course, you look at Malarkey and Bradley and Marone. None of these guys have what Doug Peterson has entering his first year as a Jaguars head coach, and that's a Super Bowl. That's 3 playoff appearances. Doug Peterson is the best coaching hire the Jaguars have ever made. Will it play out? Will it work out? We're gonna find out, but just entering his first year as Jaguars head coach, Doug Peterson is the best first year Jaguars head coach that's ever been here in Jacksonville. All right. Robert says it's going to rain in Washington. Yeah, if y'all missed it, it's looking like 100% chance of rain up in Washington during game time. It might slow down a little bit. It's looking like we'll see. Carlos says, I'm looking at this team and I see a lot of similarities to the 17 team, except I believe this team has more talent. That's really hard to say. Okay. The 17 team, they brought in Calais Campbell, who he ain't walking through that door. Love Josh Allen and Trevon Walker, but Calais Campbell ain't walking through that door. They brought in AJ Boye, who had one of the best cornerback seasons I have ever seen in my life in 2017. They had Jalen Ramsey. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say that this team has more talent, especially on the defense side of the ball. I think offensively, absolutely, you can argue and say that there's more talent on the Jaguars offense than there was in 2017. But defensively, that team was stacked. You still had Paul Posluszny. You had a young Miles Jack. You had Telvin Smith playing at the height of his game. Unique Ngakoue. Malik Jackson was playing really good football. I'm not ready to go there with this defense. I'm just not. I do like this defense a lot. Don't get me wrong. But when you're talking about that 2017 defense, I'm not ready for that just yet here. All right. One thing I think is interesting here, Washington pretty much stayed the course with their 2021 roster outside of bringing in a quarterback in Carson Wentz. A lot of continuity on the defensive side of the ball, on the offensive side of the ball, all the same coaches. When you look at the head coach and the coordinators, the only big difference here for Washington is Carson Wentz. Whereas the Jaguars took the completely opposite approach. They changed just about everything that could be changed with this team. Again, 13 total new starters, completely new coaching staff, a new assistant GM that has come in and changed up a lot of the processes in Jacksonville. So it'll be interesting. Does the continuity that the Commanders have, does that help them versus the Jaguars having so much newness? Ron says, good morning, go Jags. Robert says, I'm excited for Cisco, Trevor Lawrence, and Travis Etienne in their first NFL game together. Absolutely. Seeing Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne on the field, it's been a year in the making, right? Did not get to see it last year. Goder's dropping some more stats here, some defensive stat totals for the season. I'm assuming here. Trevon with 9 sacks, Allen with 11, Arden Key with 5. Tyson Campbell gets 13 passes defended and 6 interceptions. Andre gets 7 passes defended and 3 interceptions. We'll see. Those are some gaudy numbers. I would say out of all those, the one that would be most surprising for me is Tyson Campbell, because I think teams are going to start to not really look at his side of the field very much. Tyson Campbell. The guy is a really good young corner. And if you make a mistake, I think he's going to capitalize on it. So I just don't know that Tyson Campbell will get enough targets in primary coverage to achieve those numbers. Bradley says sharing something with Gus Bradley is truly sickening, even if it's just a name. I'm sorry about that, Brad. Don't beat yourself up about your name. Brad's a great name. All right. Tyler says Floridians embrace the rain. Yeah, it's been a wet summer in Jacksonville. Goodness gracious. Even when it doesn't rain, it's still like wet in my yard from, the previous day or a couple days prior. It's been pretty wild. Hard to get out there and cut the grass. All right, Cody says ETN is going to score a touchdown and one of the Joneses is going to score a touchdown. Wow. One of the 3 receivers named Jones is going to score a touchdown. You're really going out on a limb there, Cody. And a Trevor rushing touchdown. Okay. And maybe Agnew special teams touchdown, continues Cody. Yeah. Jamal Agnew, getting him back there is going to be huge for this Jaguars team. This is a guy that scored 2 special teams touchdowns last year. He is the best returner in football. He looks healthy. He's looked healthy for months. I've been out there at practice. He's looked healthy since OTAs. It was just about the timeline, making sure that everything was good to go with him before rushing him back out there. Billy says, "Let's go. Watching your videos all summer, and now game one is here. Let's get to work." Absolutely. Appreciate everyone for being here. You can follow myself on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. That will be the quickest way to get any news and updates. Follow Generation Jaguar at Generation Jag. Checking in to see if we've got anything on Foley here. Nothing yet. It's probably going to pop off right after we end this stream here, which I am going to be ending it in a couple minutes. Billy's mowing his yard right now. I can't do it. It's too wet. It's going to clog up the blades there. I'm not dealing with that right now. Goder's talking about the Jags defense, which, yes, we've talked about all those players. Love it. I do really like the Jaguars' talent on defense, but 2017 was still a really special year. Carlos saying keeping up with the Joneses. Yeah, you've got Marvin, you've got Zay, and you've got Tim. John says, "What do you think about Robinson being named captain this week? Has he really stepped it up since years past?" I think he has, and I think he's gotten better every single offseason, every single year since 2019. You know, he did regress when he had the big knee injury, but that's understandable. He's a big boy. Um, he's gotten better every year since 2019. And I do think as a leader, he has stepped up. I really do. And I don't think Doug Peterson would just be willy nilly saying all these complimentary things about Cam Robinson and then making him a team captain this week. Even when the full season team captains were announced, the 5 team captains, 2 on offense, 2 on defense, 1 on special teams. Doug Peterson brought up Cam Robinson in that press conference. So he's really liked what he's seen from Cam. Gooder says, "Don't forget to watch UCF Jaguars live play-by-play video during the Commanders game too." Absolutely. If y'all are not following UCF Jaguar, make sure to go subscribe to his channel, and he will be live streaming this game, so you can follow along with him there. And you never know, you might just get some big time moments on there. And UCF Jaguar, he's got some good reactions. He's got some fun reactions to Jaguars plays, good and bad. Goder says, "And like this video, don't forget to sub to Gen Jag as well." Appreciate you, Goder. All right. Cholo says, "How do you think they're going to use James today? Around 7 carries or more normalish?" I would say more normalish, honestly. And now that you're looking at potentially, um, less than optimal weather conditions, I think you could see even more rushing attempts for the Jaguars. We'll see how it plays out. See if they're comfortable letting the ball fly through the air with Trevor Lawrence, depending on how this weather's looking. I will say, Trevor Lawrence is a quarterback who should be able to zip the ball regardless of weather conditions. He's got a great arm, great release. Damien says, "What do you believe Agnew's offense will look like?" That's interesting. How much will Jamal Agnew align at wide receiver for these Jaguars? I think he's a talented playmaker on offense. I think he proved that last year. I think he's even better now because he's had more coaching. Um, I think that he's going to be involved. How involved? We'll see. I'm guessing he's going to have 5 offensive touches today. That's my guess here, but we'll see how it plays out. They definitely do not want to uh, use him so much on offense that he's not going to be who he is as a returner, because who he is as a returner is the best in the league. Robert says Trevon Walker kind of reminds me of Terrell Suggs. Interesting. Suggs was a beast. I don't really remember his measurables and athletic testing and all that, but if you're trying to say that Trevon Walker is a beast, I'm on the same page with you there. I think he's going to really surprise some people and get people talking about this is a guy that was number 1 pick, and he's not been talked about by any national media outlets for the most part. I do think they're going to start talking after this one. D Money says, "I wish it was a home game." You're gonna get a home game next week. So just be patient. You'll get there. Cholo says, "You also said before on one of your podcasts that Doug wants Trevor to use his feet more." Yeah, I think they're going to get Trevor on the move a lot. And that's not just running, that's getting him out in space, rolling him out of the pocket, getting him on the move, allowing him to use his incredible physical ability and talent. So, yeah, you're going to see Trevor not just sitting there in the pocket all the time. Christopher says, Trevor, Christian, Travis, and the defense. I have faith. I like it. I have the Jaguars winning this game. I do think it could go either way. I really do. Um, it's gonna come down to, and I think Doug or Press talked about this. Those unscouted looks. How do teams respond and react to unscouted looks? Because both teams are going to bring out some stuff that the other team hasn't seen before, has not scouted, has not practiced for. How do you respond in those moments? I think that's going to be huge. But I do have the Jaguars winning this one. I think Washington has a very balanced roster overall. I think their defensive line, even without Chase Young, and their wide receivers are their two best groups. Uh, I just don't know who terrifies you right now. I think Jonathan Allen is there. Montez Sweat has great athleticism. Terry McLaurin, he's unbelievable. We'll see how it plays out. I think it's going to be a tight one. I had the Jaguars winning 24-20. John just asked, "You have a score prediction?" Yeah, it is 24-20. I think they get Wentz to just make one or two big mistakes, and the Jaguars have had success against Carson Wentz. You look at what they did last year. This team, these players, a lot of them were still involved last year, and I think they're going to have a good plan for this one. I'm excited to see it. All right. Goder says, I can already hear the reporter saying Agnew to the end zone touchdown, Jamal Agnew. Yes, I don't know who's calling this game, but goodness, hopefully it's Gus Johnson. ID says 31-17. Jags are Commanders. He didn't specify there. Brandon says, I'm only worried about their wide receiver core. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. And of course, the trigger man, the guy getting them the ball, he has to get the job done in Carson Wentz. But Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, and Curtis Samuel, that top three right there is something else. So much speed and route running and efficiency there. Cholo says Trevor and Zay seem to have a nice connection. They have looked really good in their limited reps in preseason and training camp. They've shown a very nice connection there. I'm with you. Ron says, thank you for the best Jaguars coverage on the internet. I really appreciate that. I don't know about that. I do my best here. And of course, I just said doo-doo, which is great. But I really appreciate that. I try very hard to bring quality analysis for y'all. About to wrap it up here. Hazel Eyes Soul says keys will be both line control, yeah, the line of scrimmage and turnovers. Yeah, absolutely. And then says, God help us if this game comes down to a field goal. Again, I don't know what to expect from Riley Patterson, but he was 13 of 14 last year in the regular season. I think he also made all of his extra point attempts. John says, I predicted 23-21. It'll be super close, IMO. Yeah, I'm predicting a close game as well. Crater says Cyclones won yesterday, so I can only lose half my soul today. Yep. All right. Christopher says 35-10 Jaguars. ID said you said doo-doo. Yes, I did. And I don't apologize it. Goder says Gin Jag is greater than News for Jags. It's different, right? That is a full-on news channel. I'm just covering the Jaguars here, but respect for everyone over at News for Jackson, all the other local news stations. There's a lot of good people in the sports and sports coverage in Jacksonville right now. I think we're very blessed to have some of the media members that we do. Jamal, John Shipley, Demetrius, Mia, everybody does a really good job. All right. It's Scout About says, I'm heading to the game. I live in Maryland. Awesome. Have some fun, right? Have some fun. Cody says, my Gators lost. Yep, I am a Gator as well, sadly. Not a pretty one to watch there. They'll need to rebound, certainly. ID says Zay Jones is the X factor. I agree. I think Zay Jones and Evan Ingram are huge X factors for the Jaguars. Uh, I think Zay Jones offers more consistency, but Evan Ingram, this guy could be the best player on the field. He could be the worst player on the field. It's that's been his career, right? And that's you've even seen that throughout training camp. I've seen him make probably the two best catches that any receiver has made in Jaguars camp. I've also seen him make the worst drops of anyone. So we'll see how it plays out. Can't wait to see what Evan Ingram does. Brandon says you and UCF are the top two for sure. No particular order. Appreciate that. Yeah, UCF Jaguar does a great job. And if you missed me saying it, he is going to be live streaming this game. So make sure to check that out on his YouTube channel. Cholo says they forgot about Zay. Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. He has never really been given the full time opportunity to be a starter on the outside. He showed a little bit of that, excuse me, down the stretch for the Raiders last year when they had some injuries at receiver and different things going on. But it'll be interesting. They do look Trevor and Zay like they have a connection. Nadi says you guys haven't won a road game since COVID was formed, and you think you're going to leave our crib with a W. All right, I love the smack talk. Again, I think this is a close game, Nadi. I really do. And yeah, the Jaguars have not won a road game since 2019. They have not beaten an NFC team since 2018. So I hear you. Trust me. I do think this is a completely new Jaguars organization. Cody says, I put too much in the outcome of these games. We got to win today. I think everybody here does, right? Everybody here is really relying on the Jaguars for some excitement, for some happiness. And, you know, they represent your city, right? They represent where you come from. You know, sports is such an amazing thing that brings communities together. So hopefully the Jaguars can get it done. All right. That is going to wrap it up. I really appreciate everyone for tuning in. One more comment here. We've got Irish Jags fan checking in saying, "What's up from Ireland? Can't wait for game day. Finally, football is back. LFG Duval." Yes, love it. Love Irish Jags fan checking in. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Got some preparation to do here. Got to go to the grocery store and get some things done prior to kickoff at 1 p.m. at FedEx Field in Washington, really in Maryland, but the nation's capital, close enough, right? I have the Jaguars winning 24-20. I think it's a really close game that's going to come down to, as Doug Peterson or Press Taylor mentioned, those unscouted looks. It's supposed to be wet and rainy, so that's another thing to keep an eye on. Who has the advantage in that? I think the Jaguars do, just based on the fact that Antonio Gibson is the lead back for the Commanders right now, and he has had trouble holding on to the football. We'll see, though. I'm excited. It is game day, the first game day of 2022. Appreciate y'all so much for being here. You can hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. Follow Generation Jaguar at Generation Jag. You can hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. And if you want to support the channel further, you can become a channel member, or you can go pick up a new hat or shirt on genjag.com right now. Links in the description below. Thanks so much, Duval. Let's go, Jags.